Hello and welcome StarCraft 2 viewers to another StarCraft 2 cast for the LPS Last Player Standing StarCraft 2 Open number 2. Today I'm bringing you Game 3 between oddz, spawning as the blue Protoss in the bottom left-hand spawning position, and Snake, our red Zerg, spawning in the middle right-ish spawning position. This map only has 3 spawning positions, so obviously it's a little bit tough to describe exactly where they are. Map is, of course, Elnaga Fortress. This is Game 3 between these two players in a best of 3, so this is the deciding game in the round of 16, deciding which player will advance to the round of 8. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the first 2 games. I did do casting for both of those, and they should be up on YouTube by the time you hear this voice in this cast, so hopefully you guys have checked those out and saw. They're actually 2 very unique games. Both actually seem to end up in base races, base trades if you will, and very, very unique that way. Something very interesting to see. Oddz managed to win the second one and bring it back tied and bring it to a Game 3 by building up a very large gateway army, I do believe on 8 gateways, and simply overrunning the Zerg, who was unable to produce his mutas in time, and essentially got overrun that way. Tried to run Lings in at the end, and he did manage to kill both Nexuses, but it turns out not to be enough, as the Zerg was simply overwhelmed with the Protoss army. So this is Game 3. We do see a pylon being dropped on the low ground for oddz, being his first pylon, and a forge going down. Likely seeing a forge fast expand out of this. I can't imagine there'd be any other reason for him to do this. Very interesting and unique play. See exactly what the Zerg decides to do, as he does appear to be saving minerals and moving his drone out. I think we'll likely see a fast expansion out of him as well. He's probably fully aware of that, as I do believe he'll get there at about the same time this drone decides to become a hatchery. Drone becomes a hatchery, Pro manages to sneak by. If he doesn't see it there, I'm sure he'll sneak back around and double check it. And he does manage to spot the fact that that drone did become a hatchery. Forge is almost completed here. See a cannon being dropped at the low ground, probably to try and defend the eventual Nexus down here, as that seems to be the build order of choice for oddz today. On this particular map, both players opting to try and gain that economic advantage over the other, neither going for fast early pressure. We do see a pylon being built behind the hatchery by oddz, this probe trying to be a little bit more annoying. If we see any decently fast warp gate out of this, we might be able to see some units warped in and some harassment ensue. It doesn't look like that's the way that oddz appears to be going, as he does not have his gateway yet. Obviously that means he's a long way away from his cyber core. Spawning pull is about half completed for Snake, though, so should be able to take oddz appears to be cannon rushing Snake. He's trying to get these cannons in before the creep pops, and he's unable to build cannons on it, although he does want to try and keep it out of range. This will actually help deny the Zerg the expansion, as he won't be able to mine from this, as these cannons will basically tear his drones to pieces. Don't know if he's aware of this, though. No, he sees actually nothing. He will see that once the hatchery pops and the creep spreads, though. As of now, though, he is unable to... well, he'll be aware now of the fact that the cannons are shooting this hatchery, but he'll be unable to actually make use of that, as any drones he sends down there would automatically be picked off. This probe satisfied, he's done his job, and actually very nice play by oddz to try and get a base up by going forge first, and obviously planning on dropping the Nexus here, and also to try and deny the Zerg that extra base, so he can pull ahead in bases and limit the Zerg in his larva count. Spawning pull is completed, though, so we should see some Lings out, although I don't believe any number of Lings he can produce right now would be enough to kill this many cannons. And that hatchery does manage to go down. No drones came out here. Broodlings attack, and they really do almost nothing to these cannons. Nothing that the shields won't regenerate eventually anyways. You see actually a secret expansion taken over here by Snake, as he decides that, damn you oddz, I'm just going to go and expand anyways, to a place that you'll probably never check. Nexus is about half completed for oddz, so we will have that timing advantage. Gateway is going down, though, just now. Both gases being taken as well, so this gateway is obviously quite late thanks to those cannons, which did do their job, but obviously Snake is going to expand anyways. Although this location is very inconvenient for him, it's really hard to spread any creep to connect those 2 bases, meaning that he'll have to try and maybe make use of a very mobile army in that sense. These cannons are going to stand guard here until Snake manages to find muster up a big enough force to take care of them, which could be quite a while. Nexus is almost complete here. This gateway is also almost complete, and this hatchery is well along its way to being complete. 2 Lings are going to dance up there and maybe try and defend it if it does get spotted by oddz, so I don't believe he's seen it yet. No, he's completely unaware that that's even there. Although very, very smart play on his part. He sees 2 Lings here, and he does have this probe set to a patrol path. Not a patrol path, but a path. So he will see this hatchery go down, and that's actually huge. That takes away any sort of surprise Snake might have had in terms of getting that expansion up. Cybernetics core and another gateway are going to be used to complete this wall off. I don't know if that is actually completely walled off. That's actually might be a big enough gap. Zealot might have to stand guard over there. But either way, this Nexus is up and running. A couple probes mining at it now. Should see some probe production out of oddz, as he'll be able to get these bases up and fully saturated. Although he did spot this expansion, so he might be trying to put on a bit of pressure and not let it get completely underway. Snake is aware that he spotted that expansion, so he might try and drop some spine crawlers over here, or some form of defense, maybe in the way of lings, to try and make sure that that base as well does not go down, since this one already decided it was going to fall. Overlord's well spread out around the map, so he's going to have good map vision that way. Obviously no tower in this map past the early stages. That one kind of disintegrates in the middle, so we have no Xel'Naga towers. Protoss obviously can make great use of those. Zerg has his overlords, but Protoss takes a while to get to observers if he even decides to tech that way. So his map control will be limited in that sense, whereas the Zerg can see a great deal of the map. You see roaches coming out here, 6 of them, as a matter of fact, but they are quite late and they'll run right into a wall. Not there. A wall right over here. He might be able to do a bit of damage. I highly doubt that he'll be able to do any sort of serious crippling damage though. You do only see 1 Zealot and 1 Sentry though, so this might actually be curious timing as these 6 roaches manage to come in. They might actually be able to do a bit of damage, then their Sentry comes out. You might be able to force field those, and these roaches are going to go and turn around and go home. Actually, I don't know if that's a mistake. Maybe oddz is way down in supply, and these roaches could do a huge amount of damage. 1 more cannon being dropped here to try and maybe compensate. Add a little bit of static defense here as 2 more gateways do get dropped, so we're going to bring our gateway total up to 4, 2 of them being used in this wall. Warp gate is almost completed, so that will actually be very useful in reinforcing those units. This base is well up and underway for the Zerg player. Nothing too shameful there. He's actually managed to secure that quite well. You see a Nidus network going down. Actually, that's very, very, very interesting. I really love to see Nidus play, as it's so rarely used, but so cool when it is. You got to admit, Nidus is just one of the coolest things in this game. Probably for one of the reasons that is because it's so rarely used. But every time we do see it, it brings an ooh and ah moment to the crowd. 5th gateway being dropped down here. Warp gate has been completed as these gateways open their arches to the sun and decide to have a little black floating ball in there, which is all good. I'm not going to judge. Well, and to spot these overlords that are creeping in, he might suspect something that way, because these overlords will be used to drop creep for the Nidus canal exit, to be able to exit into the base. We'll see if he decides to go and try and pick these off. If he realizes exactly what's going on. Oddz is very, very, very far behind his supply right now. He needs to try and start getting some units up. This expansion was well defended and did well that way, but he spent so much money in cannons that he's having a hard time producing any units. He has a lot of static defense, but not much in the way of units to defend against these roaches. He does have some cannons back here, which will be useful, but these sentries have to have very, very good force fields to try and be able to take care of these roaches coming in the front. As this Nidus network does go down over here, and no probes are pulled, so he obviously doesn't see it. These roaches are very good distracting techniques to make sure that the Nidus was not spotted, and now he will hear the scream and know exactly what's going on. Snake will be able to pump in units here, basically at his will. See if oddz does manage to spot it, and he does bring stalkers back here. Does warp in some additional zealots, but Snake has not made use of this Nidus at all. I don't know what the point of that was at all. I was really looking forward, but we do see a minor engagement over here, or major engagement actually. These roaches trying to push in, but good force fields by oddz. Snake trying to do some sort of a dual-pronged attack, but the 1 prong was ignored, so that was kind of failed, as these roaches are going to be forced to turn around again, as they don't want to try and die to these cannons and force fields respectively. Creep's still here though, and pylon going over here, so this any sort of further Nidus attempt will be seen by oddz quite easily. No attempt to take a 3rd base by either player. It is still quite early. We do see the Zerg sitting on a fair number of minerals. He could expand if he wanted to. Probably not to this location though. We'd have to actually spend some time to take those out. These roaches would be more than enough. We'd have to bring them all the way back, and I don't believe that he would like to do that right now. He's keeping the Protoss pinned in his base, which is a very wise decision. We do see Protoss force trying to move out. Lots of stalkers and a fair number of sentries. There are lots of gas used up actually in that unit composition. More stalkers being warped in, if you will. But we do see some good stuff going on for the Zerg player. Tunneling claws being researched here, so we can do believe that lets you attack while they're underground, if that's correct. That seems to be the way the roaches go. Note just to move while burrowed. Actually, that's exactly what they do. No attacking, that'd be OP, but we're just going to move. I'll let them move instead. Great force fields here, split the roaches in half, but these roach numbers might be a little bit too much for oddz to handle. Another force field goes down over here that actually does no good at all, and these roaches are going to try and push this Protoss army back, but they're actually dwindling in numbers now as well, as that Protoss army managed to split the roaches well and cut their numbers quite aggressively. More roaches will be streaming in here, but I don't believe that they'll be enough to handle this army. Roaches should back up and try and regroup back at home base. Force field tries to split them off. I just managed to catch a couple as a result, but they're all just going to be in a mass retreat by the looks of it. Snake no longer trying to rally up there. He does have 6 roaches in production, which will be popping approximately the time the Protoss army gets here. Protoss is way down in supply, so he needs to do some major damage with any sort of an attack here. He's also got to be aware of any sort of Nidus pressure that could occur in his base, as this Nidus network is still up and functioning. Protoss army is looking very dangerous, so lots of stalkers, lots of sentries. We might want to see some ling morphed in. as those are very, very good against both of these units, although the sentries are able to force field the Ling, which basically negates their usefulness. But with well done Ling micro, this is actually the ideal unit comp. But here we go, Roaches against Stalkers. Sentries doing mad force fields. Roaches are able to try and move in there. They actually are getting picked off quite badly by these Stalkers. Snake losing a lot of supply in this battle. He's actually pulled down to even with Odds, and this is GG by Snake. Too many Protoss units here, and they basically tore him apart. Odds playing very well in that game. He did manage to come back from, he was way down in supply off the start thanks to all the minerals he spent in cannons and the like, but even with Snake's hidden expansion up here and the attempted Nidus in the back here, he wasn't able to pull the win out. So that's the best of 3 guys. Odds does win it 2-1. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the casting, and I will be bringing you more series later on with my creator of this channel, oddz. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the casting, and I'll see you guys later.